right, let's unpack this. So many of you are curious about the MagSafe upgrades for the iPhone 16 Pro Max. You've sent us tons of articles and reviews.
Yeah, it's definitely got people buzzing.
But let's dive into what everyone's talking about.
Well, the biggest news has got to be the speed boost. Finally, Apple's cranked up that MagSafe charging power from 15W to 25W.
Okay, that's a pretty big jump, but I'm guessing there's a catch. It can't be just plug in our old chargers and bam, super speed.
You got it.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a twist. To unlock those super speeds, you'll need to grab Apple's brand new MagSafe charger.
Oh, of course. Got to get the new gadget.
And a 30W power adapter is recommended to really get that optimal performance.
Of course, of course. At least the price of the new charger is the same, right? Still $40.
Yeah, still $40, like the old one.
Yeah.
But there's more to it than just the power boost. The iPhone 16 series is also embracing the Q2 wireless charging standard.
Q2, huh? What's the big deal with that?
So Q2 means faster charging and better energy efficiency, which is always nice. But what's interesting is the compatibility. It seems like Apple's taking a step toward playing nicer with devices outside their own little world.
That's a pretty big shift for Apple, isn't it? They usually like to keep things pretty locked in.
Yeah, it is. Though some sources are saying using third-party adapters with the new charger, it could affect those charging speeds. So maybe that walled garden isn't going anywhere just yet.
I see.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Got to keep some of those Apple products in the mix.
True. But it's not all about Apple controlling everything. There are some cool innovations from, like, third-party MagSafe folks, especially with car chargers.
Ooh, tell me more. I practically live in my car these days.
Well, some of these new car chargers are adding in cooling features to, combat overheating, like built-in cooling chips and even fans.
Whoa, a MagSafe charger with a cooling system? That's high-tech. I guess it makes sense, though. Faster charging, more heat, especially in a hot car.
Exactly. Heat management is key for performance and battery life. So it's great to see those third-party companies stepping it up.
Okay, so faster charging speeds, cool new car chargers.
Yeah.
But what about the bigger picture? Where does MagSafe fit into, like, Apple's grand scheme?
That's where it gets really interesting. You know all those rumors about under-display Face ID?
Oh, yeah. The notchless iPhone. That would be huge.
Exactly. So if the notch disappears, where does the front-facing camera go?
Yeah.
Some sources are saying a revamped camera layout could incorporate micro-lens technology.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think about it. Magnetically attachable lenses or accessories for the front camera. A whole new world for selfies and video calls.
Wow, that's wild. MagSafe lenses for selfies. Never thought of that. But it makes sense. Apple loves that sleek, minimalist design, so a magnetic system totally fits.
Right. And we're already seeing that potential with, like, all the MagSafe cases and accessories out there.
So are these MagSafe upgrades just the tip of the iceberg? Is Apple setting the stage for a future where MagSafe is like the universal connection for everything?
It's definitely a possibility. Think about it. A portless iPhone connecting to everything wirelessly. All thanks to the power of MagSafe.
Whoa. A future without cables. That's a future I can get behind. Seamless, magnetic connections. I like the sound of that. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Right.
Let's get back to those iPhone 16 Pro Max upgrades.
Yeah, there's still a ton to unpack.
What else is new?
Well, aside from the MagSafe, there's a brand new hardware feature. It's got photographers talking.
Yeah.
The camera control button.
Oh, yeah, the camera control button. So it's just a shortcut to the camera app, right?
It's way more than that. This button on the side of the phone, it gives you direct control over different camera functions, like snapping photos, recording videos, zooming, even adjusting those photo styles, all without touching the screen.
That's pretty neat, but especially for, like, those of us with butterfingers.
Yeah.
And it's not one of those buttons that stick out right so you won't accidentally press it.
Nope, it's flush with the phone's body, discreet and functional. But here's the kicker. Apple's giving third-party apps access to the camera control API.
So it's not just for Apple's camera app. That's awesome. What kind of things are we talking about?
Imagine Snapchat, right? Using that button to not only take pics, but cycle through your contacts to share. Or a video editing app, using it to mark specific spots in your footage.
Okay, that's pretty cool. It's amazing how one little button can change things up.
Totally. And speaking of changes, let's talk iPhone 16 colors. The standard iPhone 16 models, they're coming in some seriously vibrant colors.
Ooh, color me intrigued. What shades are we talking?
We've got ultramarine, a deep blue, like really stunning, teal, a cool and fresh option, classic white, a playful pink, and sleek black.
Ultramarine, huh? If I was getting the standard 16, that would be my pick. But what about the Pro models? Anything new there?
The Pro models are getting a new shade called Desert Titanium, a creamier, more refined take on titanium, compared to, like, the natural titanium from last year.
So the Pro models are sticking with the sophisticated vibes. Makes sense. Got to
Yeah.
keep it professional.
Exactly. But it's not just looks. The iPhone 16 Pro Max also got a serious display upgrade.
That massive 6.9-inch OLED screen, right? That's got to be the biggest display ever on an iPhone.
It is. And they managed to shrink those bezels, too, making that viewing experience even more immersive.
I can imagine. Reading articles, watching videos, it must feel like a whole new level on that 6.9-inch screen. Like a mini cinema in your pocket.
It makes you wonder, where do they go from here? At 6.9 inches, that's pushing it for one-handed use.
Maybe it's a sign of foldable iPhones on the horizon? I mean, if you can't go bigger, the only way is to fold.
It's possible. We've seen other brands go foldable, so it wouldn't be a surprise if Apple eventually follows suit.
It'll be interesting to see what Apple does with a foldable design. But for now, that 6.9-inch display reigns supreme. Biggest and most impressive iPhone screen yet.
And don't forget about Apple's promotion display tech, that buttery smooth 120 hertz refresh rate.
Oh yeah, scrolling and animations must be crazy smooth on that. We've come a long way from those clunky old smartphone screens. Speaking of technology that's come a long way, let's talk about the camera system on the 16 Pro Max. Heard the upgrades are pretty impressive, especially for video.
The rumors are true. The iPhone 16 Pro Max can capture slow-mo video in 4K resolution at 120 frames per second.
Whoa, 4K slow motion. That's going to be some seriously cinematic footage. I can already see the creative stuff people do with that.
Apple's pushing those boundaries for sure. And it's not just about slow-mo. The ultra-wide camera got a huge bump, from 12 MP to 48 MP.
48 MP ultra wide. Wow. How does that impact image quality?
For one, you'll be able to capture way more detail and sharpness in your ultra-wide shots. And, get this, that same 48 MP sensor is also being used for macro shots.
So close-ups are going to be even more crisp. I love taking macro shots, capturing those tiny details you wouldn't normally notice.
Exactly. It seems like Apple's found a clever way to use that high-resolution sensor for multiple shooting modes. But there's one change that might make choosing between the Pro and Pro Max a bit trickier.
Oh, what's that?
Both the iPhone 16 Pro and the Pro Max have a 5x optical zoom now.
Wait, so the 5x zoom isn't exclusive to the Pro Max anymore. That was a big difference between the two.
It was, but now both Pro models offer that same zoom capability. They implemented their tetraprism camera technology across the whole Pro lineup.
Tetraprism camera technology. Sounds fancy. What does it actually do?
Simply put, it lets more light hit the sensor, so brighter and clearer images, even when you're zoomed in.
So deciding between the Pro and Pro Max, you'll have to consider other things, like display size, battery life, and price, of course.
Right, but it's a good problem to have. More choices are always good. Speaking of choices, let's talk about that new spatial photo and video capture available on all 4 iPhone 16 models.
Spatial photo and video capture. Okay, you have my attention. What's that all about?
It lets you capture 3D content that can be played back on, you guessed it, the Apple Vision Pro headset.
Ah, tying it into the whole spatial computing world. I've heard a lot about the Vision Pro. Sounds pretty incredible.
It is. And with the spatial capture option on the iPhone 16, Apple's making that tech more accessible to everyone.
It's a smart move. Get people excited about spatial computing in the Vision Pro, even if they don't have the headset yet.
Totally. It hints at Apple's vision for the future, a more spatially aware future, where our devices are seamlessly integrated with the real world.
That's a pretty exciting vision. But before we get lost in the metaverse, let's get back to reality for a sec. There's another new feature on the iPhone 16 series, audio mixing.
Ah, yes, audio mixing. This lets you adjust the audio in your videos after you've shot them. Reduce that background noise, emphasize the voices of your subjects.
That sounds incredibly useful. I'm always battling noisy environments when I'm trying to film.
One of the sources said it's a really effective tool. It can make your videos sound like they were recorded in a professional studio.
Wow, that's a bold statement. I'm curious to see how well it actually works. Sounds like Apple is really trying to make the iPhone a powerful tool for content creation.
Oh, absolutely. And with the iPhone 16 Pro Max's camera tech, both hardware and software, it's definitely getting easier to create pro-level videos.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Faster MagSafe charging, the new camera control button, that impressive Pro Max display, camera upgrades, even touched on spatial capture and audio mixing.
It's clear Apple has packed a ton into the iPhone 16 series.
A ton. But we're not done yet. We haven't even gotten to the A18 Bionic chip, the improved battery life, and of course all those rumors about Apple Intelligence.
Yeah, those are topics for another deep dive.
Definitely. We'll have to pick this back up in the next part of this deep dive.
Looking forward to it. Welcome back. So much more to uncover about the iPhone 16 Pro Max.
You're right. We left off talking about the A18 Bionic chip, the brains behind all the magic, and from what I've read, a pretty impressive brain at that.
Definitely a big step up. Sources say the A18, it's built on a second-generation 3-nanometer process.
Okay, so more power, more energy efficiency.
Yeah.
Sounds like a win-win to me, but wait, hold on. 3-nanometer process. What exactly does that mean for those of us who aren't chip experts?
It's all about the size of the transistors on the chip. The smaller they are, the more you can cram onto that chip, more performance, more efficiency.
Ah, got it. So smaller's better in the world of chips. But back to this A18, it's not just about speed and efficiency, right? There were some whispers about something called Apple Intelligence.
You're right. The A18 is built to handle all that heavy lifting when it comes to Apple Intelligence. That's Apple's fancy name for its AI-powered features. The chip's got a 16-core neural engine optimized for machine learning stuff, so it can run large generative models.
Okay, you're losing me a bit with the tech jargon. Generative models, what are those, and why should I care?
Think of it this way. Generative models are a type of AI. They can create new content based on patterns learned from, existing data, images, text, music, even code.
So it's like having a mini artist inside my phone, creating stuff based on what it's learned.
Pretty much. But how exactly will Apple Intelligence change how we use our iPhones? That's the million-dollar question.
Exactly, that's what I want to know.
Well, based on the rumors and stuff we've seen, Apple Intelligence will be baked right into iOS, impacting everything from Siri to the camera. For instance, the shortcut mentions that Apple Intelligence will revamp Siri, making it way more helpful and responsive.
Okay, I can definitely get behind a smarter Siri. Siri's been falling behind a bit.
Yeah.
Time for Apple to catch up. What else? What other Apple Intelligence magic can we expect?
One of the hottest rumors is AI-powered photo editing. Imagine just erasing those photo bombers from your pics. A few taps and they're gone.
No way, that would be amazing. I can think of a few photos that could use that feature. Anything else?
AI summaries of emails and notifications are also being talked about. Get the gist of important messages without wading through tons of text, saving you time and mental energy.
Okay, now that's something I could definitely get used to. Less screen time. Yes, please.
Yeah.
It sounds like Apple is really trying to use AI to make our lives easier and more efficient. But all this talk of AI, it does make me a little nervous. What about privacy? Is my iPhone going to be, spying on me now?
That's a valid concern. But remember, Apple has a really good track record when it comes to protecting user privacy. Their whole brand is built on that. Privacy and security.
Right. They've always been big on privacy. But how can we be sure that Apple Intelligence doesn't change that?
Well, from what we know, most of the AI processing will happen on the device itself, not in the cloud, meaning your personal data isn't sent to Apple's servers.
Okay, that makes me feel a bit better. On-device processing, huh? But even then, there's still a chance for things to go wrong, right?
Of course. No technology is perfect. But Apple has a huge incentive to get this right. Their reputation is at stake. They're not going to risk losing customers by being careless with data.
That makes sense. I guess we'll just have to wait and see how Apple Intelligence develops and what kind of impact it has on, our digital lives.
It's definitely going to be interesting to watch it unfold, that's for sure.
Speaking of interesting, let's switch gears for a minute. Talk about another big upgrade for the iPhone 16 Pro Max, the battery. We touched on the A18 chip's energy efficiency, but let's dive a little deeper into why this phone lasts longer.
Well, for one, Apple literally made the battery bigger in the iPhone 16 Pro Max.
Bigger battery, more power. Makes sense.
Yep. Combine that with the A18 chip's efficiency, you get some serious gains in usage time. 5G training and 5G certification says the iPhone 16 lasts a whole 2 hours longer than the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 16 Plus. That's supposed to get up to 27 hours of video playback. Crazy, right?
Wow, that's impressive. Sounds like Apple has finally figured out that whole performance versus battery life balancing act.
They're getting there. And it's not just about the battery size. There are some interesting design choices, too.
Oh, like what?
Well, they've made the battery easier to remove. 5G training and 5G certification. Again, they say Apple's using an adhesive that can be loosened with, get this, a low-voltage electrical current.
So easier to replace the battery. How does that improve the battery life?
It's not directly related to how long the battery lasts, but it does make the phone easier to repair. So if that battery needs replacing, it's quicker more efficient.
Ah, I see. Less waste, more sustainability.
Exactly. Easier repairs means people might keep their phones longer, which is good for the planet.
Okay, so we've got a bigger battery, a more efficient chip, and it's easier to repair. That's a good combo for keeping our iPhones alive longer. But what about charging? We've heard all about the faster MagSafe, but what other options are there?
Well, you've still got the classic wired charging method. Some sources say the iPhone 16 series can charge at up to 45W, if you've got the right power adapter, that is.
45W, that's pretty fast.
It is. Much faster than wireless charging, even with the new MagSafe.
So it's a choice. Convenience versus speed. Wireless is great when you're on the go, but wired charging is still king for a quick power boost.
Totally. But no matter how you charge it, that iPhone 16 Pro Max should last you a good while.
That's music to my ears. Hate being tied to a power outlet. But speaking of things that are nice to look at, let's talk about that display.
Oh, yeah. The star of the show. That 6.9-inch OLED beauty. We've talked about its size, that immersive feeling you get. But there's more to it.
I'm all ears.
One cool thing is they added a 1 nit minimum brightness level.
1 nit. That's like barely visible. Why would you want your screen that dark?
Think about using your phone in a dark room, a movie theater, or in bed at night. A super low brightness level is much easier on the eyes.
That makes sense. It's the little things, right?
It is. It shows how much attention Apple pays to detail.
But that massive screen also has its downsides, right? It can't all be perfect.
Well, yeah, there are trade-offs. Obviously, the phone size. With a screen that big, it's pretty bulky.
Definitely a two-handed phone.
Definitely. And even with two hands, reaching those corners can be a stretch.
So you gain that big screen, but you lose some ease of use.
Right. Some people might find it too big, too heavy.
It's not for everyone.
But if you want that huge, stunning display, the iPhone 16 Pro Max is top of the line.
So we've talked display. What about the camera system? We covered the 48MP ultra-wide and the 5x zoom. Anything else worth mentioning?
A couple of things. Remember that spatial photo and video capture? Well, that's included on the Pro Max. Capture those 3D memories, play them back on the Vision Pro.
Right. Stepping into your photos and videos. It's like the future is here.
Totally. And then there's that audio mixing feature. You can fine-tune the audio in your videos, reduce background noise, make the voices clearer.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Like having your own little sound editor.
One source said it's incredibly powerful. You can really alter the sound after capture to concentrate specifically on the vocals of the subject who is on camera. They actually said it can make your videos sound like they were recorded at a professional studio.
Okay, that's really cool. Sounds like Apple's going all out on making the iPhone a serious filmmaking tool.
They really are. And with the iPhone 16 Pro Max's tech, it's definitely easier than ever to create high-quality videos.
So we've talked a lot about the Pro Max, but let's not forget there are 4 iPhone 16 models.
Oh, you're right. You got the iPhone 16, the 16 Plus, the 16 Pro, and then our star, the 16 Pro Max.
A phone for everyone. Different features, different prices.
Exactly. So if you're thinking about a new iPhone, it's worth comparing all the models. See which one fits you best.
Definitely. Don't forget to factor in those MagSafe upgrades, too. They might make a difference in your decision, especially if wireless charging is a big deal for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of MagSafes, let's zoom out for a second. What do these MagSafe upgrades tell us about Apple's, vision for the future of the iPhone?
One thing's clear, Apple's going all in on wireless. Faster MagSafe charging, that Q2 standard, it all points in that direction.
And with all the rumors of a portless iPhone, wireless charging is only going to become more important.
Imagine never plugging your iPhone in again. It's a future Apple seems to be working towards.
No more cables. That sounds pretty amazing. But MagSafe isn't just about charging, right?
You got it. It's also a platform for all kinds of accessories. Cases, wallets, car mounts, batteries. MagSafe lets Apple add more features without adding more ports or buttons.
Keeping that iPhone design sleek and clean.
Exactly. And who knows what kind of cool MagSafe accessories we'll see in the future. It feels like we're just getting started.
I'm excited to see what they come up with. But before we get too lost in the future, there's one more thing we need to circle back to. Apple Intelligence.
Yeah, the big AI question mark. We talked about the A18 chip, all the rumored features, but what does it really mean for the iPhone?
That's a conversation for another time.
A conversation for our grand finale, perhaps.
Sounds like a plan. All right, we've talked hardware, we've dug into those faster charging speeds, even explored spatial photography. But there's one big question looming over this whole deep dive.
You're talking about Apple Intelligence, right? It's like this mysterious force behind all the iPhone 16 advancements.
Exactly. Is it just a fancy marketing term, Or is this something truly revolutionary?
From what we've seen, it's definitely more than just hype. Apple Intelligence is a real shift in how we use our iPhones. It's not just adding new features, it's about making the iPhone a truly intelligent assistant.
So it's not a gimmick. This is the real deal.
All signs point to yes. Apple's been putting a lot of effort into machine learning and AI for years now. And the A18 chip with that powerful neural engine, it seems like that's where it all comes together.
Okay, so it's a big deal. But what does it actually mean for us, the users? How will it change how we use our iPhones every day?
Well, one source, iPhone 16 Pro hands-on review, Apple's smartest upgrade yet. They had some interesting ideas. They talked about a smarter Siri, AI photo editing tools, and even AI summaries for emails and notifications.
Right, we talked about those. A smarter Siri would be great. But those are just a few examples. What's the bigger picture? What's Apple's ultimate goal with this whole Apple Intelligence thing?
It seems like they're aiming for a world where your iPhone anticipates what you need, automates those boring tasks, even helps you make better decisions.
Wow, that's pretty ambitious. Almost sounds too good to be true. But all this AI talk makes me a little nervous. What about privacy? Is my iPhone going to be tracking my every move now? Collecting all my data?
I get it. It's a valid concern, and it's definitely something we should think about carefully.
Yeah, because part of me loves the idea of a super smartphone that makes life easier, but I also don't want to feel like my privacy is being invaded.
It's a tough balance. But remember, Apple has always been about privacy and security. It's kind of their whole thing. I don't think they'd throw that away with Apple Intelligence.
True, they've always been big on privacy.
Yeah.
So how do they plan to balance all this AI power with the need for privacy?
Well, from what we know, Apple's likely doing most of the AI processing on the device itself, not in the cloud. So your personal data isn't being sent to Apple's servers.
Okay, that's good. On-device processing. But even then, can we really be sure our data is safe, even if it's stored locally on our phones?
Like with any technology, there's always some risk. But Apple has a big reason to get this right. Their reputation depends on it, and they know users care about privacy.
Yeah, they wouldn't want to lose everyone's trust.
Exactly. It's in their best interest to keep privacy and security a priority.
So what's the bottom line? Should we be excited about Apple Intelligence or worried?
I think it's a bit of both. It has the potential to change everything, but we need to be smart about it, be aware of the risks, but also open to the possibilities.
It's like exploring new territory, right? Exciting, but also a little scary.
Exactly. And Apple Intelligence is still pretty new. We'll have to see how it develops, how Apple handles these privacy concerns.
Well, one thing's for sure, it's going to be interesting, and we'll be here to break it all down. So as we wrap up our deep dive into MagSafe and this whole Apple Intelligence thing, what's the key takeaway for our listeners?
I think the biggest takeaway is that Apple is really pushing the limits of what a smartphone can do, from faster charging and cool new accessories to AI-powered features and a focus on privacy. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is a big step forward.
It's a pretty exciting time to be an Apple user. The future is intelligent and magnetic. But as always, stay curious, keep exploring. The world of tech never stops changing. There's always something new around the corner. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.
Keep those minds curious.